Sveikinuosi su jumis iš Daukanto aikštės. Už mano nugaros Lietuvos prezidento rūmai, kur šiuo metu vieši Olandijos premjeras Markas Rutte. Šis politikas yra realiausias kandidatas tapti NATO naujuoju generaliniu sekretoriumi. Jam vadovaujant Olandija jau atsiuntė karių į NATO tarptautinį batalioną Rukloje, o vasarą Lietuvoje bus dislokuotos ir Olandų oro gynybos sistemos Patriot. Kaip keistusi NATO vadovaujant Markui Ruttei? Kokią žinią Lietuvai, Ukrainai ir Rusijai jis atvežė į Vilnių? Apie tai netrukus išskirtinis 15 min pokalbis su Marku Rutte.
Mr. Prime Minister, significant numbers of Lithuanians fear that the West is not helping Ukraine enough to defeat Russia and that the Baltic states could be the next target for Russian imperialism. What would be your message here from Vilnius to those Lithuanians?
My message basically is that this is also the Dutch border here between Lithuania and Belarus and the Baltics and Russia. It's also the Dutch border. That means that we will defend it collectively as an EU and of course when it comes to defense, particularly as NATO. The Netherlands is putting 6.3 billion euros into Ukraine to help them gaining access to military equipment. I know that many others are doing the same. Germany is doing a lot because we have to make sure that Russia loses this war and Ukraine wins it. Because if Ukraine would lose, and we will do everything to prevent that, it will not end there. The whole of NATO territory is under threat. And you really have to understand that we are all with you. That Vilnius, Lithuania, the Baltics, it's Europe, it is NATO, it's us, and we have to collectively defend ourselves.
You have just been endorsed by Lithuanian President as the potential next Secretary General of NATO. If you are elected as Secretary General, what would be your strategy to safeguard the American commitment to European security?
Well, it's difficult for me to campaign, so let me explain to you what I'm doing as a Prime Minister of the Netherlands in that regard. And I think there is large-scale agreement here that we have to make sure that the transatlantic bond remains strong. It's crucial for the US, for Canada, for the European NATO territory to stay together, to have a maximum impact on defending ourselves. And there is also a big interest in the US to do that. Because if somehow Russia will be successful in getting influence over large parts of Europe, that will have a huge impact on the United States security for that country. And they know this. So we will work together on this.
You have said in one of recent interviews that Donald Trump was indeed correct to be vocal about lack of European investment. There are calls both from Lithuanian president and from Polish president that 2% of GDP is not enough. Would you be supportive of the idea that the benchmark would be increased to 3%?
Well, let's first make sure that we all get to the 2%. The Netherlands is now more or less there. We have a 1 trillion economy. We spend 20 billion on defense. So that means we are around that 2%. And that meant that we had to speed up our defense spending by 5 billion over the last couple of years. But there are still countries lacking behind. Yes, we need to have that debate, what we need to do to make sure that long term we can maintain our deterrence and we can maintain our strong defense. And by the way, on Donald Trump, I repeat myself what I said in Munich during the security conference. Let's stop nagging and complaining about who will be president of the United States. We will work with whoever is there, and I'm sure also with Trump and with Biden, they will be an integral part and stay as an integral part of NATO.
And my last question. Your government has taken a quite different approach from Lithuania regarding China. You have recently visited Beijing. Lithuania faced Chinese sanctions over Taiwanese representation here in Vilnius. What is your vision for the future EU relations with China?
Well, first of all, it is unacceptable that China singles out countries to put pressure on them, and that is why the anti-coercion instrument is so important. That we support each other when one of the countries is singled out. What I very much stressed in China last week is the fact that I do not understand why China is still accepting the circumvention of sanctions, is still exporting dual-use goods to Russia, is not putting maximum pressure on Russia as they could, as good friends of Russia. And why do I find this so puzzling and painful? Because if China really wants to be friends with all of us here, they have to understand that Russia is a threat, and that if Russia will be successful in Ukraine, that will be a threat to us. So we discussed this extensively last week. I know all of my colleagues will continue doing that. There will be visits of the German Chancellor to China, and I think they will visit France in May, if I'm correctly informed. So we will use all those opportunities to make sure that we put maximum pressure on China to deliver their help in making sure that Russia changes its course.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.